And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Jared Keene earned his Ph.D. in creative writing at Florida State University. Dr. Keene is an assistant professor in the Department of English at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, where he teaches American literature and graphic novel. He has written numerous other books and guides on various topics, including a travel guide, a rock band biography, and edited short fiction anthologies, including Las Vegas Noir and Dead Neon, the tales of near-future Las Vegas. Jarrett, welcome to the program.
Thank you. So wonderful to be here.
How did you get involved in creative writing?
Well, I just found myself drawn to the enterprise of creating inventive, imaginative stories. I grew up, in the 70s and 80s. There wasn't a lot of stimulation. There wasn't a lot to go on except for, TV, comics. And I just, I don't know, I just took to it, and I found a way to get a degree in writing my dreams down on paper and putting it in a Word document and sharing it with others, with classmates initially, with my professors. But then I discovered that, there was such a thing as the campus newspaper. I could write, album reviews. I could write film reviews. I could do all kinds of things to make money with my writing. And so that put me on a, what can I say, just a creative path, and I'm very grateful for it.
There is a phrase in writing called dystopian. Yes. What does that mean?
It means, according to my definition, it's, entropy, watching things fall apart and having fun with it. Entropy can be fun if you let it, guide your imagination. And I just find myself really drawn to these kinds of stories where civilization is either, destroyed or hanging by a thread, and you watch characters kind of deal and struggle through these imaginative scenarios. I love books like, for example, Stephen King's The Stand. I like watching the world collapse, and then I love witnessing the characters struggle to piece it back together.
Tell us about your latest book, Hammer of the Dogs.
Oh, my goodness. It's an incredible story of teenagers in a ruined Las Vegas killing each other with drones by remote control. The valley is carved up by two warlords. One is housed in the basement of the Luxor, the black pyramid there on the strip with the sky beam, that light that shoots up into the atmosphere. And then the other warlord has control of City Center, which is a posh resort. And so they're battling each other, and Lash finds herself engaged in a conflict she doesn't quite understand until she does, and then she finds a reason to put both of them in their place, so to speak.
How realistic is it? What do you think?
Well, all of the technology, all of the weapons that are depicted in the novel are taken from, real life. For many years, I worked as a corporate communicator for the biggest resort company in the world, MGM Resorts, and I used my employee badge to, bust into these drone tech conventions at places like, Mandalay Bay, Caesar's Palace, and I was just awestruck and deeply disturbed by the technology that was available even just 10 years ago. It's unbelievable. All the technology in the book is taken from the catalogs and brochures that I took from the drone tech conventions, everything from the ornithopters or the bird UAVs to the insect drones to the snake bots to the sentient pistols. It's just amazing to see all these weapons developed. And what was particularly interesting is the way there is this, I don't know how else to describe it, except it's like a vast and orchestrated effort involving the tech sector, the military-industrial complex, higher education, foreign governments. They're all building up the drone industry. Surveillance and control are really what these drones offer. The ability to, erase someone instantly with the push of a button. It's just too intoxicating to ignore.
And the technology is going to get better and better and better, Jared, isn't it?
Oh yes, and then with the advent of AI, the algorithms determining who lives or dies, it's just almost too much to contemplate. But that's what Lash, the hero of Hammer of the Dogs, is up against, and that's why she makes a decision to embrace these weapons, find a way to use them to fight back.
Even though it's a novel, how realistic do you think it might be?
Well, you can see now, I'm sure you've read the stories of the drug cartels in Mexico using drones that they purchased off Amazon and, improvising explosive devices, and they're just basically bombing each other right now. This is something that, unfortunately, I can see young people taking to at some point, finding a way to amplify the horror and the nightmare of remote control killing.
Yeah, it's happening. Are you scared about this kind of technology? I mean, would you hope through your book, Hammer of the Gods, even though it's a novel, to convince people? Because what can we do about it?
Well, Lash offers an example, which is to not run from it, not be afraid of it, but to, take it on, to master it, to embrace it, to use it in a way that, ultimately can defend us. Because if we try to take it out of our hands and allow the government to have sole control over this technology, I don't imagine it will end well. But I know there are, in fact, young people like Lash, the hero of my novel, the warrior hero, who will rise up and, like in the movie Terminator, they're going to resist, and I can easily see that happening. So that inspires me. That keeps me sane.
Absolutely. Now, did you have any inside information with the technology? How did you come up with these ideas?
All of it, as I said, is pulled from these catalogs and brochures. But however, I will say this: I've had many drone pilots in my classes here at UNLV. I've taught them works like the Iliad and the Odyssey. I've taught them Shakespeare, and so they've told me a lot about what they deal with day in and out at places like Creech Air Force Base, where the drone war is waged on a daily, hourly basis here in just outside of Las Vegas.
These drones that you see, like you just mentioned on Amazon, they look like toys, but they're really pretty sophisticated, aren't they?
Yes, and every year they become more sophisticated, and every day they find new ways. People find new ways to use them in lethal fashion. I mean, what's amazing, if you really think about it, is that the Wright brothers didn't really invent air travel. I mean, they invented death from above. It's really the most devastating military tactic of the 20th century. It's how World War II began and ended. Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima. And
for the military, it's safer to send a drone instead of a pilot, isn't it?
Absolutely, and probably it's probably even more fail-safe. It's more accurate. There's no emotional concerns. You know that the program, the algorithm, the computer will get it done.
I don't want to give away too much of your book, but it's kind of scary.
It scared me writing this book. The only thing, like I said, that kept me grounded was the knowledge that I had a terrific warrior hero, Lash, who doesn't back down from a fight, even if she believes she's going to be snuffed in a conflict. She moves bravely forward. She takes on the bad guys and spills their blood in a way that fans of Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian. I mean, Lash is a pulp hero in the old school style. Flash Gordon, Zorro, Buck Rogers. I wanted to create a character that faced impossible odds, yet finds a way to be victorious.
Does she have superpowers?
No, but she does. In the end, Lash is revealed to have a certain trick that a certain surgeon installed in her brain. It's not. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but it's something that helps turn the tide of battle in the penultimate chapter.
If you have this turned into a movie, who would you want to play the part of Lash?
I don't know. There's so many great actors. The one thing that really stands out about Lash is her physicality. So whoever the actor would be, whether it's the actor that's stars in Wednesday Addams, for example, that actor would have to do some push-ups and pull-ups and basically, get fit enough to be able to conduct a serious, drone war and ruin Las Vegas.
Get him from the Wrestling Federation or something like that.
Yeah. Someone with serious upper body strength, let's just say.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever played with a drone?
Yes, I have, and the sound of a quadcopter, something you buy off of the Amazon website, it's very unnerving. The way the noise of it is, I don't know, it's just upsetting. It bothers me. But I have toyed around with them and had fun with them, and of course, I have two teenage sons who they love having little drone battles in the backyard next to the pool, and so I've enjoyed fooling around with them. However, I can't get too. I don't want to go down that. I don't want it to become a serious hobby because otherwise, I feel like I will be compromising not just my love of the hero Lash, but also, I do think that books like Hammer of the Dogs serve as a warning. Be careful with this technology. It's a Pandora's box that once it's opened, you can't really close it.
Can it ever get to the point where the drones fly out of control of the radio control that you're holding, that just goes too far and then you just lose it?
Oh, certainly. But, what's scary with things like, I almost said Skynet, but, there are satellites now that allow a drone to basically, you can be controlled, wielded from, anywhere on Earth and reaching any destination. And that to me is, the kind of a nightmare. The Starlink stuff is really frightening to examine.
And I assume the military is using these extensively, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, and they're using them in ways that we're not even aware of. You find out when you read stories, just on mainstream news stories, you find that drones are always surveying, always taking in information. Whenever there's a major event somewhere in the world, there's always drone footage. It's scary to contemplate because it means you're being watched wherever you are, at any time of day or night. Very unsettling. But of course, that's sort of the fun of an adventure story like Hammer of the Dogs. I wanted the reader to be frightened, but also taken on a thrill ride, roller coaster ride where that there's some bad technology afoot, but there's a hero there that's going to put it right.
What is she? Oh, she's overlooking Las Vegas as well on the cover, isn't she?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's the cover is, of course, done in that Frank Frazetta style, that pulp fantasy mode. And I wanted the book to be a throwback in many ways to the adventure fantasy stories that, I enjoyed growing up in the 80s with movies like Empire Strikes Back, Conan the Barbarian, Tron, all those great films that, have stood the test of time and that people still love and adore today.
You've got a human versus robot competition called the Magnus Bout. Tell us about that.
That's a nod to an old comic book I used to enjoy reading called Magnus Robot Fighter. And so the Magnus Bouts, you always have to have a kind of gladiator sequence in any great adventure film. We've seen it in everything from John Carter to, the movie Gladiator, Spartacus, etc. So I just wanted to, give a nod there to some of the great pulp adventures that came before Hammer of the Dogs. And so it needed a gladiator scene. And, of course, when you have technology wielded by kids, I think it's inevitable that young people will find themselves at odds, physically confronting robots and fighting them in basically a death match.
What do you think of the possibility of that, where artificial intelligence becomes so amazing, they literally take over things? Yes,
well, growing up in the 80s, there was a movie called Terminator that made a huge impression on me, and
huge,
major impression on people of my generation. And so I don't know. I see us becoming more at odds with growing technology. Here at UNLV, of course, we're dealing, as most universities are, with the Chat GPT phenomenon. Computers writing our students' papers for them. It can be a real problem. And there's also things like cyber hacking. Every university suffers this misfortune, and I think that it's going to become an increasing problem. If you've seen the recent headlines, you know that MGM Resorts, Caesar's Palace have been hacked, and Caesar's Palace actually paid the hackers, the ransom in the tens of millions of dollars to cease and desist the cyber attack. So I don't know. I see it becoming increasingly problematic. AI will eventually, be hacking on its own, and it's just it seems like a problem that's set to spiral.
I was kind of foolish to pay the hackers. They'll just do it again.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works, and I'm told from the local papers here that it's a group of U.S. and British hackers, but I'm not sure how they know that. To me, it's something that can be anonymous, and you have no idea where the attack is coming from. So I find that very that detail very interesting.
What has been the reaction of your book from your students?
Well, in many ways, I wrote it for them. I wanted to show them how to write a book during the course of a 15-week semester. Every week, I'd bring in a new chapter, 2,000 to 3,000 words, and show them that the discipline and the momentum that you need in order to complete a novel. And I wrote it for them and in their honor. And what was really interesting is I inspired many of my students to embark on their own novel writing adventure. And so I've had at least 4 or 5 students at the time that I was working on Hammer of the Dogs who completed their own books and are, have self-published some of them, and others are circulating their manuscripts now in New York and in the literary world, trying to get a contract. So I find that to be very satisfying. It's nice to be around young people because they're inspiring and they want to read fun dystopian adventures, and I admire that.
How realistic do you think your book is with what is happening in real life today?
Well, young people are, in fact, killing each other remotely in places like Ukraine, and I find that to be very sad. And, I can easily see that spreading across the world. And so that's sort of the bittersweet, the tragic aspect of it. What's bittersweet is that I know that, young people will find a way to rebel, to resist, and, escape this nightmare. They just have to, like I say, embrace the technology and not run from it, because if you run from it, you'll just be on the run forever. I take the lesson of Terminator, the movie, very seriously. You have to rise up against the machines at some point.
We're going to come back and chat more on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast, George Norrie, along with Professor Jared Keene. We're talking about his book, Hammer of the Dogs. You've got several other books out there, Jared, don't you?
I do. I have a guidebook to Underground Las Vegas, which shows you all the naughty and nice places to explore in Las Vegas. But it's, I also love to edit fiction anthologies, the short story collections featuring writers who either live in Las Vegas or have a history with the city. And I find that to be very rewarding. I have a book called Las Vegas Noir, which collects crime stories set in different parts of the valley. And then I have what I call a near future or future shock collection of stories called Dead Neon, Tales from Near Future Las Vegas. and that's a pretty fun ride. Different authors with different takes on what it means to be in a city that's always on the bleeding edge of technology. There's always something new and innovative happening here, something a little bit frightening, and that's just been a lot of fun.
I had an intern a couple of years ago at the program whose grandfather started the Flamingo Hotel and sold out to Bugsy Siegel and the group. Isn't that incredible? Talk about history.
Well, Vegas, it's always been this delightful playground for the military and for organized crime, and so it gives it a real colorful history that's hard to deny, hard to resist. And when I found out that I was moving to Las Vegas from Florida 22 years ago, I couldn't wait. I got right into the spirit of things. I think I immediately purchased a VHS tape of recordings of the atomic bomb explosions at the test site that occurred from the 50s all the way to the underground testing of the 90s. That was a lot of fun to watch because you can see that that it's just the military and the government. They view Las Vegas, they view the Southwest as just a testing ground to experiment with new weapons, and I found that to be very intriguing, very disturbing, and a lot of fun to write about.
Let's go to the phones. Cornelius in Alexandria, Louisiana. Hello there, Mr. White.
Hey there, George and Jared. Boy, I'm really enjoying this show. Jared, you must be about my age. I'm 62 years old, so I'm just getting my Social Security check, and they're trying to force me to put it in electronically, but they said I can get a check, so they're going to force us into some things. Jared, they call me the God, Guns, and Gold Man, the Bible, Bullets, and Beans Man. If you read Revelation, we're heading straight down the track. Now, we can slow it down a little bit, but it'll be just like the board. Resistance will be futile. So my question for you and the young folks in the audience, because I heard a 20-year-old call into the show yesterday, that they need to be aware that Biden had these bucks out, and he signed this thing saying we're going to a digital dollar, which will be total control. So I don't know if you heard about that yet. And, of course, George has been bringing out about the BRICS nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa setting up their own super currency. So I see in the next 2 to 5 to 10 years, there'll be a total control thing where we'll have the mark of the beast and everything. And like I said, resistance will be futile. But I appreciate what you said about the Terminator and all these different movies because we're heading straight down that way. But I'm going to resist as long as I can. Thank you, George and Jared. God bless Coast to Coast AM.
What do you think of that, Jared?
Well, unfortunately, I believe he's correct. It's strange to, like I said, have grown up watching a movie like Terminator and then witness the government, the military-industrial complex just spiraling out of control and, in fact, replicating something that we've seen, in a sci-fi horror film. It's very troubling, and I don't know. I don't think resistance is futile, though. I think there is a resistance in the Terminator film, and, in the form of John Connor, his mother, Sarah Connor.
Yep.
And I do think that humanity will find a way to take on and thwart, the power freaks, the control freaks. But that's exactly what's happening with, the digital dollar and all this nonsense. It has to be deconstructed. It has to be dismantled. That's the only way humanity will be able to survive. We don't want this to turn into, the final half hour of WALL-E, that Pixar film where everybody's, living on a spaceship and controlled and manipulated and, helpless. It won't come to that. It can't come to that. And the hero of my novel, Lash, she says it won't happen, and she's true to her word. She does in fact succeed in thwarting the power mob.
So you think in the long run we're going to win?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think the world will end. I think there will be, as I put in the book, horrific battles. But I think in the end, flesh and blood will always triumph. There's just, there's no way that Oz will continue to function like that. There has to be a moment where people come to their senses and understand that to submit is to die. And people don't want to die. They want to live. They want to thrive. They want to have families. They want to have jobs. They want to enjoy life. And the way to enjoy things is to fight for them.
Let's go to Lou in Hawaii, first-time caller. Hello, Lou. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. I appreciate your taking my call. A long-time listener, although first-time caller.
What island are you on?
On Oahu.
Okay, that's a nice one. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to all the comments about luck, and I've always had a very simplistic view of it, and it's just simply preparation meeting opportunity. And it's just seems that when you hear people talking about they have good luck and bad luck, sometimes it's just that they weren't prepared when the opportunity came.
Well, that's so true. And you come from a city, Jarrett, that luck is very important.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just amazing to have been here at a time when, a pandemic struck and the Strip went dark, maybe for the first time in its history. And I never thought the city would bounce back. And it's true that, in terms of employment numbers, it's still struggling a bit. But Vegas is back, and I didn't think it would be, having ridden with my family on our bicycles down the closed Las Vegas Strip, and from one end to the other, no cars, no people. It was something right out of a post-apocalyptic film.
It's Orwellian.
Very, very. And then here we are years later, and the place is packed. Occupancy is 90% in many of these hotels on a Monday, Tuesday night, and it's amazing to see a city like this bounce back.
And you've got an amazing Formula One race coming up there in November, where they're reconstructing some of the Strip, aren't they?
You have to come here and check it out. It's amazing to witness the fierce construction that's taking place in order to prepare for this event. It's outstanding. Also, they unveiled something called the Sphere, which I don't know if you read about, but the band U2 is soon going to be performing there. And
that's a gorgeous sphere. It's amazing the construction of that.
It's awe-inspiring, and it's really fun, like at night, to go to the edge of the valley and look down and see this orb glowing, pulsating, and you can't help but feel the city is blessed. The city is indeed very lucky.
Let's go to Gary in Kansas City, Missouri. Gary, welcome to the program.
Yes, I just had to call in because I witnessed a few weeks ago crop dusting with a drone. It's huge.
Oh, my
like
gosh.
20,000, they said. And you can't hear it once it gets past a certain point and it comes back. It's all computerized. I got pictures of it. It was very neat. It carries about 10 gallons or a little more. And every time they bring it back, they set it down, put a fresh battery in. Those batteries are pretty big. And then they send it off again. So it's better than a crop dusting plane because it comes down lower and it's precise, computerized how they do the land. It's unreal. And then I was wondering if your guest ever heard anything called the mosquito. That was some military thing they had the size of your fist back 20-some years ago, and that thing is unreal too. I never seen one, but I knew what they were. This thing with crop dusting, they feel that'll be the wave of the future instead of rolling over the crops, So it was something else to see. I mean, just to see that huge thing flying around. And like you say, you don't hear them till they're right up on you.
Sure. Did you ever hear the mosquito drone, Jarrett?
I have, and they've gotten smaller than the fist-sized drones, of course. Every year they get smaller, quieter, more they have more charge in their batteries, and there's quite a bit of that technology in my novel Hammer of the Dogs. There's even something called a flybot that Lash pops into her ear, so she can communicate with one of the warlords at any moment. But what's really interesting about the crop dusting drone is that these are the kinds of this is the kind of technology that's used by the drone tech industry to convince us that drones are helpful. They're harmless. They're going to help us grow crops, and they're going to conduct repairs in places that humans can't reach, and they're going to provide safety. But again, when I hear the word crop dusting, I think, well, it's just a small extrapolation to wonder what they might dust people with.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at the military application.
We're talking with Jared Keene. His latest book is called Hammer of the Dogs. Have you had any options for this for a movie?
Yes, I've had a few producers reach out for copies of the book, which I've sent their way, shipped to them. But I wrote it as a novel, as a pulp adventure, and I would love to see it adapted into other media, comic books, etc. But I really love the written word. I am an English professor after all, and to me it's just the greatest honor and pleasure to bring a story like this out in the format that it's in. It's a paperback. The cover, as I said, is a tribute to those old Frank Frazetta, Conan covers, novels from
absolutely
back in the 70s, and so I see it as a nod, as a tribute to that era of mass media paperback.
Oh, Lash looks like a female Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. She was designed in the tradition of, like I said, Sarah Connor from Terminator and Ellen Ripley from Aliens. So yeah, she's got some triceps there, and that's because she's got to carry a lot of heavy weaponry to fight these drones.
We're going to take calls next hour with Jared Keene as well, so if you don't get on this half hour, don't worry. We got an hour of calls going through. We're talking about his book, Hammer of the Gods. The website I have for you is through the university. Is that what you have, Jarrett?
Sure, but an even better place is jarrettkeene.net, and that's JarrettKeene.net.
Great. I'll make sure our man Willex has it linked up for you at coasttocoastam.com to be sure. This is truly amazing. How did you get the idea to do this to do an action novel based on technology?
Well, of course, I was very much interested in the inauguration of President Obama, and very inspired by that moment, only to find out, of course, that shortly after his inauguration that he was already busy conducting a drone war. And famous article published in The Intercept that 90% of the casualties conducted by this drone war were not, in fact, terrorists. This was very disturbing to me. And then around the same time, these drone tech conventions started popping up in Las Vegas, and I hadn't, I was drawn to this. I was like, how far have we gone with this kind of incredible weaponry? And I tell you what, it was just really amazing to see all these robots already. They were autonomous already, but in 2012, you would see robots crawling around the convention floor. They were not armed, of course, but I don't know. They made me. I found it deeply unsettling, and I wanted to explore this nightmare scenario. But I wanted it to be an adventure in which the good guys win. This is not a dark and depraved tale. This is
we want the good guys to win. We want them to win. Jarrett, we're going to take a short break and come back and take an hour more of calls with you next.